and welcome to Adorn by Jennifer. So today's Tuesday tip is how to make a fancy boutique looking wreath for your Christmas decorations. That can be tips and styling of how to do a wreath, but you can use it for your Christmas tree, a garland, your mantle, a centerpiece, and it doesn't have to be just for Christmas. You can use these techniques for all year long. So I'm going to share that in a hot minute, but I also want to have a big shout out to the 124 Boutique. They graciously put some of the Adorn by Jennifer pieces on their lives yesterday for noon and at 4 o'clock yesterday. And I just wanted to say a big thank you. Thank you for tuning in and thank you for sharing it. And if you are a 124 fan, maybe you can mark that in your comments below, or you can give a shout out on their live that you like the Adorn pieces, because it was a dream come true for me, because I love all the stuff that they bring to their customers. And so it was a big compliment that they were willing to share some of the things that I make. In keeping with that motif, yesterday one of the items that they sold was a horse equine type playful necklace. And so today I am using, oh, thank you for the thumbs up. Today I am sporting my little Dalmatian necklace, and I can make these with different animals or different pets, or if you live by the water, with sharks or any kind of animals that are interesting to you. So I'm wearing that just to represent. And then of course I have my little fun sparkly earrings that come in clip-on and in pierced. These are also great for Valentine's, Christmas, Valentine's, for all year long. And I also have stretch bracelets that I make, and I make sparkle crystal bracelets and all kinds of things. So check out my Etsy page, Adorn by Jennifer, for lots of other things. I'm going to share with you some of my basic decorating tips. But before I do that, also, since I'm already giving shout outs to other things, if you saw my live last week, I showed you that I make the names of Jesus Christmas ornaments. This is the grande size. It might be backwards for you, but it says Messiah, and I have several different names of Jesus. It's a great way to keep your heart worship and thinking about the true reason for the season. So if you're interested, check those out. They're on my Etsy page as well, and I have links, I think, attached. Again, technology isn't my forte, but you can check those out. Adorn by Jennifer, no spaces. Okay, so regarding our wreath making, one of the things that I always try to do is stay budget friendly, but I love ooh la la high-end looks. So what I'm going to show you how to do is some of the tips and tricks that I use to pull that off. So as you can see in the background, this is actually our play kitchen, and I'm going to do a Tuesday tips in the future about why this is the favorite item in our entire house, and every child that comes into our house beelines to this. And so I will share that in the future. It's something that we made, and it has been a huge blessing to us. So, but regarding the wreath, so I just get the cheapest, ugliest, most basic wreath that you can find out there. And I don't do anything other than maybe fluff the needles so that it doesn't look like it just came out of the box. So once you pull it out of the box, then I recommend, you don't even have to get a pre-lit one. Get the cheapest one you can get. I usually stock up on these after the holidays when they're trying to clear out their inventory. But since this is pre-season, I would just get an inexpensive one. A lot of places are already putting theirs on sale. Then I get just an inexpensive strand of lights. As you can see, I did not actually even wrap this around my wreath because there's no need. Because as I show you how I build it, it will hide the wires and you really won't notice it. So I literally just lay it. You can see I just wrapped it around and I just laid it. There's nothing fancy to it. You just want to make sure that you have enough cord so that you can plug it in at the end. You don't want to decorate everything and then realize, oopsie daisies, I can't plug my my lights in. So this is what I do. I start with a very basic base and nothing fancy. Now the next thing that I like to do could be, you could go two routes. One, I think garlands can be difficult to work with at times, because if you want to weave it in or use it in different ways, sometimes working with a huge 6-foot piece of greenery is difficult. So I actually unravel the greenery, and sometimes it looks really awful, but you can get cool textures and needles. This is an example of a garland that I bought. This is actually from Nell Hills in Kansas City, my favorite Kansas City boutique, local boutique, and they have cool have all kinds of cool stuff, but this I probably bought 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and I just unraveled it. You can see the vines are all knotted together, so I just unraveled it, and it doesn't look very good if you really look too close. Look, this is where it attached, and I just cut it off with wire clippers and hacked it off. I didn't even try to tuck it in or make it look pretty, because as you can see what I'm gonna do, we're gonna add texture to this base to give it a little ooh la la factor, but we're just gonna upcycle some other things and reuse it, and then you can use this also, say, in your mantle as well, or in a centerpiece, and you can create a cohesive theme out of one garland and spread it around your house. So that's what I like to do. Now, you may not want to buy a whole entire garland, and that's understandable. You can go down the pick aisle, and the pick aisle makes me very excited, but I will show you how to use picks in just a hot minute. So the next thing about this is I don't even really worry too much about the picks, other than, and I'm going to do something totally counterintuitive, I'm going to have the viney ugly area in the front, which I know seems kind of weird. But I'm going to just nestle it right here because I know that's where I want to put my bow, and my bow will hide it. And then I don't do much other than just kind of tuck it in so that these don't fly away too far, because they can have a little bit of a mind of their own. But I do like that it gives some movement and it expands the wreath further than just the traditional structured spot. Now, here's more pieces that I unraveled. Nothing fancy. It almost looks like you throw them in the trash, but I don't throw things in the trash because you can reuse them. Okay, so even here, there's like an unraveling thing. And if it bothers you, oops, I just pulled out the whole needle, but you can just cut it off, throw that needle away, no big deal, or you can leave it in there. But I just tuck these in to add some height. I don't even pin them or try to leave it in with wire or zip ties or anything, because they kind of hold their own place and nobody's going to be touching up here. So I'm just going to poke these guys in. The other little decorating trick is anything that has wire, it's good to kind of give it just a little bend or so, because when it comes out of a package or it's sitting on a shelf, it all looks flat, and just give it a little bend and it will have more movement that way. Okay, I got one more. Just going to throw him in here, kind of balance it off. I've got more sticking up high on one side, so I'm going to add it. Now here's another pick that actually fell out of a longer pick, and I didn't want to throw it away. So we're just going to throw him in there, add some more texture. It gives a different color, gives a little more texture. You just don't have to overanalyze it too much, because the more you stick on it, the more it's going to layer up. Now, have you ever seen this? Oh, you know, I'm going to show you one other thing that I think is a good budget stretcher, and I'm not sure where it went because I think it fell on the floor here. Have you ever seen the gauze? There's gauze, gauze, gauze. Where did my gauze go? It looks like netting, and it is, let's see, where did my gauze go? Well, we might have to skip that part. If you want to watch my Instagram live, I have the gauze on that one, but I'm not sure where it went. But it looks like gauze, and a lot of times, a couple of years ago, it was really popular to kind of swag it around a tree. And you can do that for sure, but I think it looks a little bit more custom if you cut it up into little pieces and then you tuck it in. And I just don't know where my gauze went. So you know what? We're gonna find, we'll probably, oh, it's in the play kitchen sink. There it is. Okay, so I just cut it up into little pieces. I don't even measure it. And what I do is, this looks very custom. I just go like that. Crumple it up so that it adds some color. And then I just lift a branch or two and I stick it in there so that it kind of gets deep in there, and it just adds a little pop of color. I don't want the gauze to be the main emphasis. I just want to give it a little color and dimension. So nothing fancy, and then when I stick it in there, I just kind of pull it out so it doesn't look so crumpled. So here we go. We're just going to stick it in there, and then I'm going to just kind of fluff it up. This is another random piece. They're all cut, just random. And I just stick it in there. I think it's always good to have a little bit in the back so that it doesn't look like you only decorated the front. And let's see, I got a couple more pieces. We're gonna just ball it up, stick it over here. give it a little dimension. And last piece, let's see, we'll put it over here, just kind of fill in. So as you can see, we've taken just a very basic wreath and we're building it up so that it looks a little bit more custom. Then you might have seen, oh, here's another random little needle thing. Let's just add him in the back. Give him some nice volume back there. Have you ever seen these? So these could also be a little intimidating until you start playing with them and then you realize, oh, they're really easy. So you don't have to have it as one big piece. Don't ever be afraid of cutting things up. So you have smaller things to work with. And look, I'm all looped together, so I'm making a hot mess. But you just pull it apart, and I went my shortest one just because my wreath isn't super huge. But you just take, and when you know it's the third one that just dropped to the floor. You just take it and see how it almost has its own curve on its own. I just start it back there and let the curves work for you. So I just take the weight off of it and then I just let it naturally do whatever curve it wants to do. And then if it's too obnoxious, I kind of tuck it in just so that it's not taking over the whole thing, but it's gonna kind of, you see? So it just adds a little height, a little sparkle. Now, when it comes to ribbon, I told you last week that I use zip ties and I use floral wire. 22 gauge is typically what I use, and I like this because it has a little cutting device on here. So I literally just take a piece like that, don't measure it, just kind of pull it out. You stick it in there, you give it a pinch, and it cuts it, and then there you got your little wire. And I made these on my FaceTime or my Instagram live, but I'm going to do some different ones because I'm doing 2 ribbon ones. And I'm just kind of grabbing, let's see, I'm grabbing some ribbon that, it's actually the ribbon for my mantle. I told you last week that it's 6 years old and it's kind of tired and weary, so that's what we're going to use. It was in a little ball and it looks a little wrinkled up, and I just stretch it out. You don't have to do, if you want to be precise, you could get a steamer, but this mama doesn't have time to do all that and pull all that out, so we just layer it up, literally like this. And my green isn't super long, but this is just a gold, I think I thrifted this. Put it in my mouth, because that's kind of what I do. And then you just take it, and you make a loop, like that. And then I only have enough to do one more loop. So you just put it like that, you give it a pinch. See how I just pinched it all together? And then I take the middle of that long piece of wire that I just did, and I crisscross it, and I wrap it around one more time. And then I'll take the other end and I'll wrap it the opposite direction. So I just wrapped, do you see how I just wrapped it there? And then I crisscross it in the front so it kind of anchors it so it doesn't unravel. And then I got 2 really great pieces of wire that I can attach to my wreath. So then I get my handy dandy scissors. I like to finish my bows so that the ends look nice. So I pinch it in half and you cut upwards towards the wire. And I didn't mention on this one, but I did last week, that I like floral wire, or floral ribbon that has wire in it because it holds the cut. So we're just doing it at a diagonal. That wasn't my best diagonal, but you get the hint. You see, you get little tails. And again, this wire, this ribbon I've used 6 years. It deserves to be retired, but I'd like to use things up as much as possible. So it has finished tails, and then when you get it like this, you see how we looped it on top of each other? You just pull it apart like that. And then I do the opposite so it doesn't look too matchy-matchy. And I do the opposite. So now I have something that looks more like a custom bow, but you can see there was no measuring, there was no tying. And then you can take the tails and you can kind of fluff them as you go. Now, I knew that I was going to be putting that stem in the front because I knew I was going to be hiding it. So I just take those wires, and you can find a random branch. It doesn't matter which one. Preferably a branch from the base so that it doesn't fall off, because the other ones I didn't tie in either. But you don't have to do it very tight. You just give it a little twisty-do. And then, voila, you've got a bow. time purposes, since you're being gracious to watch, I will finish that in a little bit. But I also take picks, and these are old picks. I don't know that, I think I got these from Hobby Lobby. They do still have these, I believe. If you have a hunter in your life, these can be popular, and they work really well in January, February. You can extend the life of all your Christmas decorations by just taking the sparkly stuff out. And we live right on the edge of the time zone change. So we get dark super early, like 4:30 in the evening, it can be pitch dark. So I love to keep my Christmas lights up and from January and February just to give a nice glow. We do candlelight family dinner a lot. That could be another future Tuesday tip, with our leftover taper candles, and just to create a memory for our family. So we'll turn all the lights off and have dinner by candlelight. And it just creates a little bit sweeter of a mood, since it's pitch black outside anyway. But I do keep my Christmas decorations up until about February, but I just take all the sparkly stuff that has glitter off, and so it has more of a woodsy feel. So these antlers are great. It came with a stem, but I just pulled it out because I'm not sure why I did, but there you go. And I like it because it gives good texture, so you have sparkle, but you have kind of a woody. And we have a lot of deer that like to hang out on our property, and so I think that's kind of fun to bring in the elements. But you just literally poke them in. I don't even wire them or do anything. These are old acorn things. I'll pop a few of those in, and then I have, grab them from below. I have some in the past. I think these have a different vibe. These I used to use on my Christmas tree before I did my Names of Jesus stuff. Those have a different vibe than these do. So I prefer these to kind of go together, and these are a little bit more shiny and vibrant. So I'm not going to do my shiny vibrant on this year, but I'm just going to grab a couple of these stems, and I'm going to put another bow probably right about here. But you can just see how I grab these picks, and in just 2 minutes or so, all of a sudden it looks like you've done a whole bunch, and all you've done is stick a couple of little doodads and whirligigs in here. So you can do it very affordably. Remember not to forget the back of your area, but you can do it very affordably, especially because a lot of the craft stores that sell this kind of stuff already have their stuff 50% off. And so you can really get things pretty affordably, and I personally look at it as investment. Every year I build just a little bit more and just reuse it. As you can see, I reuse a lot of stuff. So here is just the concept. I can finish it out with that bow. I think is going to make a big difference. But again, I'm adding texture and different heights to the different areas, and so it looks more custom. You know what, that bow's going to drive you nuts. So I'm going to just do it as I explain to you some final things. Another tip and trick for decorating that, okay, I'm going to do this. You can watch me while I try to multitask. We'll see how this goes. So this is my green. This is my old leftover topper ribbon, so it matches, it complements my Christmas tree. Then I do a loop, one more loop, and see, this little guy is just super short, but we're just going to tuck him in, and we're just going to pretend like he's not short, and we'll leave a tail of the gold so that we have some tail going on. But what about tree skirts? I know it's been popular for a couple of years to use these little collars at the bottom of your Christmas tree, and if you have it, I think they're darling. But I also wonder, how does it work with putting your Christmas presents underneath? Maybe you can write in the comments below what you do if you have a collar, if you just stack them out, or if you still can stack them underneath. But I like to multi-purpose things, and I like to do things very affordably. So you can even go to the thrift store, but I use table runners. I bought my table runners years ago when I lived out in Arizona, and I will show you my table runner from my Christmas tree. But you can use it for your Christmas tree, and I actually hide ribbons. You know how when you put your Christmas tree together and it says the base is, C, B, A, and so you know which parts you stick together. I tie really obnoxious ribbon around the tail so next year I can find it when I store it. And then I take all those ribbons off and I store them underneath the bottom of my tree under my table runner so that I have them ready to go next year. But that is a little tip and trick that I do as well. Okay, so then you just puff, another little fluff, puff, fluff, and it looks like you've got a lovely little, more custom bow. And typically, depending on how much ribbon I have, I might do 2 or 3 of these. I might go back and do a third one because this one's kind of little, but I've also been known to do too many bows, and sometimes less is more. So sometimes I'll do it and let it sit for a day and see if I like it the way it is. And if I do, then I'll put my stuff away. And if I don't, then I'll just add a little bit more. But this is where I'm gonna just, and you know what, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna wind the extra ribbon or wire up because I don't think I'm even gonna use it today because I don't wanna cut my hands up in the wiry greenery. So we're just gonna, look, I'm just coiling that, I'm gonna stick it in, and it is going right here. Ironically, right where the tail of that thing is that I said I was gonna hide, and it's not hiding it very well, but let's see if we can do that. And then I'm gonna add a pick right there, and no one will ever know except you that it's right there. So if you come over to my house, don't be pulling my pick out because it will make everything fall out. But here is the rest of my bow, and let's find a pick so I can hide my guts. Oh, here's my table runner. Okay, so this is the table runner I got. It's just fabric, you see, that big, and I just crumple it up under my Christmas tree like this, and so it looks really rich and elegant, and it's just a table runner. And then if I ever change my motif in the future and I don't like that look maybe, I can use it as a table runner. Or I can wrap presents up and cut it up and use it as fabric to wrap a present up or something. So there's always another use. Okay, so I can't find my pick at the moment because things are rolling all over my floor, so I'm gonna steal one from the back. And guess what? We're just sticking that bad boy right there. Hide the guts. And let's just add another little guy just to make it look a little bit more like I'm not trying to hide something. And voila, there is a custom, you know, I might play with it a little bit because there's a few flyaways going on, but you can just see the idea that you can take just a very basic wreath and just layer things in. You don't have to do anything fancy. You don't have to secure it any fancy way. No one's going to be touching this except for little kids, probably this high and down. And so there's nothing that's going to hurt them. Nothing's heavy. And so it's just a fun way to bring some Christmas cheer, and then at the end of the season I'll wrap it all up and I'll use it for other things. And then actually after Christmas I will probably remove the bow and some of these sparkly things, and I will probably add more muted bow. This still has a little sparkle. This was a leftover ribbon that I had as well, but I'll just probably add more of a woodsy feel, and then that will be my decor until probably February, and then come March I like to start decorating for spring and Easter and all those things. So that's just a little snippet into how I like to do the fluffing, the guts of decorating. And these techniques can be used also for your Christmas tree. So I'm gonna give you a sneak peek at my Christmas tree in case you didn't see it last week. You're gonna see my dirty laundry on the floor that I need to take care of. But you can see the names of Jesus if you're interested in those Christmas ornaments. I do sell those in different sizes. And thanks for tuning in. And tune in today, oops, as I try to put you back down, sorry. Tune in today to 124 Boutique. They do their lives at noon and 4. So they do it every weekday. They're super fun. I have a code, I think I attached it on here, but if you don't see it, I can send it to you, that you will get 15% off your first purchase in their app. And I get a little bonus too, which is always a blessing because I love to shop 124. But one of the reasons why I love them, they ship for free and you get 5% rewards back in their app. And they also have a resale page on Facebook that has thousands of people in it, that if you get something and for some reason it maybe doesn't fit right, you can resell it to other people. And so it's a very low risk feeling, and she really does a fantastic job putting things together so that you know what to wear. I'm even wearing her brand new lip color. I forget what it's called. It's like fancy something. It's the red one, but I'm testing that out today as well. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for my tips and tricks for the play kitchen, because I will tell you, of all the things in my entire house, including stuffed animals, everything, this behind me, which I'm intentionally not showing you, is the number one most favorite thing that almost every kid begs to come back over and play with. So I will show that to you hopefully before Christmas, so that you can get some ideas of some great things for kids as well. But thanks for tuning in, and happy Tuesday Tips.